Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Dairy Raid, and it is Tuesday morning and time for another walk and talk. Tuesday morning after a quite eventful Monday night, or Monday, I should say, in the transfer portal. The Badgers picking up 6 players in the transfer portal. I don't think we've ever picked up that many on the same day in the past, and they seem to be coming in bunches this year. Different approach for the staff in how they're releasing the transfer portal signees this year, and to be honest, kind of a good thing. I like how now it's just the players are just popping up. You know, the fixed signal was a great thing. You know, would get us excited, but knowing the state of Badger fandom and the snarky to hostile nature of the fan base now towards anything that is remotely positive about the program, it's probably a good idea to change it up a little bit and just kind of get these signings out of the blue. But that's not all we have to talk about. As usual, you guys have supplied me with some pretty great questions, so let's get into it and see if we can answer a few of them for you. All right, and we're going to save the bulk of the transfer portal discussion for later, but some of it is going to sprinkle in with the rest of the conversation. And the first one that I want to go through is, what can the Badgers do in 2025 to be better against the run? To stop the run? Is it a change of roster? Is it a change of system? Is it a change of personnel on the field implementing the system? What is it? Well, it is going to be a combination of everything. And I think, as we can see with how the transfer portal is going so far, there is a definite shift in philosophy this season in terms of where I think the defense is going. I think with the moves that we've made, with the players we've lost, and then the players who have come in, coupled by the players who are still in the system, I think the Badgers are moving more towards that 3-4, 3-3 defense that they wanted to run when they got here. 3-3 defense, more specifically. When you look at the type of bodies that have been replaced and the type of players who have come in, the 3 transfers especially, you can really see definitive roles in their body types. And if you look at the film, you can see where they would fit in those roles in the incoming system. So I think we're definitely going to see the use of bigger bodies on the field. 3 down linemen whose jobs are going to be to occupy blockers, to occupy gaps, and to let our athletic linebackers flow downhill and find the football. Then when we play against teams who run 2 tight ends, who run 2 backs, etc., then we have defensive linemen better suited for a 3 down look to occupy those spots when we go into a 3-4 look, a 5-2 look, whatever it's going to be in our short yardage and pro personnel, bigger personnel package defenses. All right, and the next question is going back to the offense and Coach Grimes, is how is the slot receiver utilized in Coach Grimes' offense? And I think this has been pretty important subject, given that Tretch has decided to come back, which is great. how is he going to fit in to the offense this year? Well, I think if you look at this past season, especially at Kansas, and you look at Luke Grimm, Kansas' slot receiver, what I think you see there is kind of an amalgamation of the skill sets that both Will Pauling and Tresh Kaku have. You saw a reliable receiver, catches passes over the middle, who has the speed to get the ball the outside to the corner, and also is an asset in the screen and the run game and the RPOs. So I think you're going to see, they want to put the best 3 receivers on the field at the same time. And you saw with Grimm that they would line him up as a wide receiver in a 2 tight end set quite often. And they would line him up as a wide receiver in a 3 receiver set, depending on the formation, especially with the tight end on the same side. So I think that is going to leave the door open to having both of them on the field at the same time, even though we only are going to have probably 3 receivers on the field most of the time. But again, ways to do that and to maximize both of their skill sets and what they're both good at. I think our incoming quarterbacks are going to need a reliable safety valve type receiver up the seams, over the middle, in the flats, etc. And that's Will Pauling. And then adding the dynamic playmaker that is going to take some pressure off of the quarterback is going to be a big thing. So I think slot receivers are going to be still a major part of the offense, and I think there is a chance that we could see some growth from both players this season. Piggybacking off of that question, the next question I have is, what positions do I think are going to thrive under Coach Grimes this season? And I'm going to pick, if I have to pick one that I think is going to thrive is a general term. But if I pick, let's say it's a position that is going to show improvement or show a more important role in the offense this year, and that's going to be the tight ends. We've lost another tight end to the transfer portal. God bless Riley Nowakowski. He didn't offer much. He wasn't even that great of a blocker. He did what he could. He did what he was. But, it is what it is. Tucker Ashcraft, while he improved as a blocker this season tremendously, don't know if he's going to be quite ready to be the number 1 guy. But that's why the Badgers went out in the transfer portal and got arguably the best, if not one of the best, tight ends in the transfer portal in Ball State's Tanner Koziel. 6'7", catches a ton of balls, and if you watch his film, he catches it all over the field. I think those two together is going to be a great combination. I think Grant Steck is a younger version of Koziel. And then we got the other young guys, Jackson McGowan, Rob Booker. I think it's going to be a good year for the tight ends, and I hope it's going to be a year that they're going to step forward. It's a good thing when your offensive coordinator has past experience as a tight end coach. That definitely means he's not going to forget you when it comes time to start putting together a game plan. All right, so that's probably about it right now for the non-transfer portal related questions. All right, one more non-transfer portal related question. And sorry with this one, it's probably going to be closer to a non-answer than an answer. And that is, Do I have any thoughts on what I think is going to be the quarterback coach? And, I debated doing a video because the candidate videos often do quite well for the channel. But that's a lot of work to have it be somebody else, to be honest. So the easy answer is no. I have no idea who the incoming quarterback coach is going to be. There's some guys out there that have either connections to Coach Grimes, connections to Ohio State and Luke Fickell that are available. They've gotten quarterbacks that fit Coach Grimes' system. So you need a quarterback coach who is used to coaching mobile quarterbacks, getting quarterbacks involved in the run game. So that's going to eliminate some of your pro style, quote unquote, quarterback coaches. If you want me to throw some names out here, I'll do it. Obviously, Corey Dennis is now the quarterback coach and run game coordinator or passing game coordinator at Tulsa. They did not have a great year this year, and he's quite young, so I don't know if that's what they'll be looking for. Another name that I have kind of ticked off in my head as a potential would be Mike Yurcich, who was the offensive coordinator at Penn State up until this year. He was fired at the end of last season. He has experience in similar offenses. I would say he runs more of a power air raid type system. A lot of air raid type schemes in the passing game. Ran especially at Oklahoma State, but experience in the power spread run game at Penn State. And again, he doesn't have a job right now, so he was quarterback coach before he was a coordinator. So he's one of those type of guys who could bring that experience that I know Luke Fickell is looking for. Tom Herman would probably be in that same vein, but I don't think that he's looking to go all the way down to a position coach kind of thing. Coach Grimes is quarterback coach at Baylor, is now the offensive coordinator at Houston. Could the Badgers give him enough of a bump up that he would leave Houston to come to the Badgers? Maybe, but he has no Midwestern ties. And so if I want to try to be realistic, I'm going to say we're going to get somebody we haven't heard of. All right, so let's get into the portal news so far and what it means right now and what it means going forward for the rest of the winter portal season. We're up to 8, I believe, signings, and so many, and they happen so fast that I had to write them all down. All right, so we got Mason Reiger, edge player from Louisville, Parker Peterson, defensive lineman from Tulane, Tanner Kozel, tight end from Ball State, Corey Wheeler, defensive lineman from Western Michigan, Charles Perkins, defensive lineman from Tennessee Martin, Danny O'Neal, QB from San Diego State, Billy Edwards Jr., quarterback from Maryland, Matt Trainer, safety, I like his film, safety from Richmond, and then we got the long snapper from Arkansas, the local kid who I wasn't able to write down before I printed this out. So there you go. So a nice mix so far. I wouldn't say any of the positions that have been brought in have been surprises, but definite filling of needs. And I'm not going to say they're upgrades until I see them on the field wearing the Motion W. But it's the type of players that are going to move us in the right direction on paper. And that's all it is right now. I could see a situation where all four, the three defensive linemen and Reiger, are on the field at the same time. The 3-3 defense, you're going to see a lot of 3 down with 1 true outside linebacker, 2 insides. I think he fits that outside role. I think he could be that field side edge rusher type that would fit in quite well. Field side edge player who is strong enough to hold the edge. Put him on the backside, let him rush the passer. I think he's going to fit in quite well. Corey Wheeler looks like he is going to be a true 5-tech. So a defensive end, something that we haven't had. Even when the Badgers recruited for the 3-4 defense, they never really recruited defensive ends. They recruited outside linebackers and they recruited defensive tackles. So that's why we had 6-7 defensive tackles and nose tackles. I lump them both together. But interior guys is what I'm trying to say. Wheeler is going to be an edge guy. I think he could be that field edge, the run-stopping edge. You look at Parker Peterson, I think he's going to be nose tackle. And then Charles Perkins, I actually watched some of his film last night, and I had some real fun watching it. Pretty explosive guy for his size as a boundary defensive end in a 3-3 defense. So that means is they're going to pair him with a fast pass rushing type outside linebacker on passing downs. They're going to kick him inside, let him rush off the guard. And in base down sets, he'll play the 4-eye, he'll play the 5, and let an inside linebacker roam behind him. So some really good fits there. Koziel, obviously, big, 6'7", can really stretch the field and is going to provide a really reliable target down the middle of the field, which I really like seeing. And then the quarterbacks. So let's talk about, first thing, the portal strategy the Badgers have shown in terms of rebuilding the quarterback room based on last season, who they've got, and where we're looking to go going forward. All right, so before we get into the additions, let's talk about the state of the room exiting the 2024 season. So we had, at the end of the season, on paper, we had 4 scholarship quarterbacks. We had Tyler Van Dyke, Braden Locke, Mabriam Metoyer, and Cole LaCrue. Since the portal has opened up, Tyler Van Dyke, Braden Locke, and Cole LaCrue have left. That left us with Mabriam Metoyer as the only scholarship quarterback. Then we've had, obviously, high school recruiting come in, and Carter Smith and Landon Locke join the room to get us back up to 3. And then yesterday, obviously, with the additions of Danny O'Neill and Billy Edwards Jr., that brings the room back up to 5. And of course, as expected, Landon Locke decommitted. And Now we're back down to 4. I think Luke Fickell has said that 5 is the number that they're looking at. So I would not be surprised if they bring in one more. But we have to look at the distribution of the scholarships to figure out where that 5th guy is going to come from. And we can look at it this way. So right now we have a true freshman in Carter Smith. Behind him or above him we have a redshirt freshman in Mabry Montoyer. Danny O'Neill is a true sophomore. And Billy Edwards Jr. is, I believe, a 5th-year senior. I know he's had spent some time at Wake Forest, and there's some redshirt years in there. I'm not quite sure exactly how his eligibility went, but I'm pretty sure he only has one more year of eligibility left. So, where does that leave us? If it was me, I'm looking at bringing in a player with 2 years of eligibility who could potentially have positional value somewhere else. Just so, so we have the body to fill the progression of the room. So every year we're losing somebody, every year we're bringing somebody in. And we're not going to end up in a situation where we lose 2 and we don't gain enough. So that would work out well. But also, if you bring somebody with positional value somewhere else, that really opens up the door and lets the young guys know that they are still in the mix going forward. So finding a true junior, a redshirt sophomore with 2 years of eligibility to fill that type of role would be ideal. I don't think that's going to happen. Because again, it's hard to bring in quarterbacks and tell them they're not going to play. So how are we going to do that when we have already brought in 2 quarterbacks in the transfer portal and one of them looks pretty set to be the starter and the other one has a full season of starting experience, even though he played as a true freshman? Well, it's probably going to be finding a guy from a lower level who needs time to develop. Or what I think is going to be more likely is they bring in a couple walk-ons and they give somebody a scholarship by the end of spring. I'm thinking Milos, who ended up being the number 3 QB this season. I think he's in line to potentially get a scholarship. Could they rock with 4 scholarship QBs? That is certainly a possibility, and as likely as anything. But Luke Fickell said he's wanted 5, so we'll see. You know, it is still technically recruiting season, so we could potentially also get a high school kid to replace Landon Locke. You never know. So, but I like the balance of the QB room is right now, and I'm pretty positive going forward. So let's talk about the strategy, or I guess easiest way, why we ended up with the guys we ended up with in the transfer portal. And, you know, everybody is complaining and reaching out to any celebrity with some kind of Badger ties to put a lot of money into the NIL collective so we could go get a big name quarterback. And Badger fans, I'm sorry, you need to ask yourself this question: why would a big time quarterback want to come to Wisconsin? Not only right now, but ever. Other than Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was a very big exception. Seriously. And don't give me this, the value of a Wisconsin education outweighs everything bullcrap. Because it is. It is nothing but bullcrap. College football players don't care about that. Especially guys who are enticed by NIL money. So, we've got to stop thinking about who you think we should be and look at where we are. In terms of athletic department, in terms of spending money, the Badgers are a mid-level school. They are a school that could be spending a lot more than they should. But they are a program that has for years have not developed quarterbacks, have not enticed quarterbacks, have not run systems that are set up for big-time quarterbacks to thrive. And it's going to take time for the program to reset that mentality. So where should the Badgers' NIL money be better served? Places like defensive line. Another position where it's hard to find guys, and to get the right guys, sometimes you need to spend a little bit more. And that's exactly what they're doing. I think in terms of the quarterbacks, we need to stop the bleeding. We need to get the offense moving in the right direction before we can look for the next evolution of the system and in terms of the roster. You got to remember, for the longest time, going back to everyone's favorite word, identity, the Badgers' offensive identity was crap quarterback play followed with a good run game. I've done the math, and guys like Joel Stave and Alex Hornibrook, Graham Mertz, Jack Cohn have won a ton of Big Ten football games behind mediocre QB play and a killer run game. I think that's what the Badgers are looking to do now. I think they're looking to reestablish a solid run game that a slightly above average QB could really shine in. Because you saw it when we would get a guy who was slightly above average. Okay? Scott Tolzien. And Jack Cohn. Jack Cohn was slightly above average. Okay? He was not the second coming of Joe Montana like a lot of people in Madison thought. But being just slightly above average, they were able to take the offense to a different level. And I think Billy Edwards can do that. I'm going to put out a separate breakdown video of him and Danny O'Neil. But he is a solid QB. Statistically, measurables, intangibles, solid. Is he going to blow us away? No. But look at Maryland last season. I mean, good Lord. Mike Loxley is a terrible coach, a terrible head coach. And that offense was god-awful. He was sacked like 25 times. And he still put up respectable numbers. If he didn't get hurt early in the Iowa game, he probably would have been second in the Big Ten in passing yards. So he's a solid QB who has, more importantly, for the fans that always question, these guys got good stats playing in the American with Tanner Mordecai. Billy Edwards Jr. put up decent stats in the Big Ten. Okay? You can't make he didn't play against Big Ten defenses excuse. They had played against Big Ten defenses. So I think he is going to be solid. Danny O'Neil won the starting job as a true freshman in Sean Lewis's offense. Did they have massive success? No. But he's a true freshman, so we shouldn't really expect a huge amount. And he did admirably. And he's a guy who's going to sit and he's going to learn for a season and then maybe be poised to be in the position to be the starter next year with the other young guys. So does our transfer portal additions in the QB room excite anybody? No, but we don't need that right now. I think we got too excited with the 2023 transfer class, and that's burned us. So let's just kind of get that game manager back there. Let's get that guy back there who is going to be, honestly, what the Badgers need right now is a quarterback who you're not going to notice is there. What I mean is, a lot of times Braden Locke, the only time we would notice things about him is when he did something wrong, or when we talked about him. It's the only time we talked about it is when he did something wrong. So now I just want a guy goes back there, does his job, and that's it. I'm fine with Billy Edwards. Could there have been a bigger name? No, probably not, because they're not coming to Wisconsin. So it is what it is. All right, so I think we're going to call it there. Coming up this week and going into the Christmas break, I am planning on doing some videos on the transfer portal additions. I'd like to give it a couple days to see if, as more of them come in, but I'm going to try to put together some shorter videos, just some clips, showing them on the field, talk about how I see them fitting in the Badgers offense and defense, and going from there. Also, if you are a fan of the Buck Around podcast, which I am, and you should be too, I am making an appearance on their next episode, recording coming up, talking about Braden Locke, went wrong, Jeff Grimes, all the stuff that I am a quote-unquote expert about. Get to talk about it with some new people, which is always fun to do. Really like the show that Richard and Max do, and happy to be a part of it. So that's coming up. Gonna try, once we're gonna be on Christmas break here, I'm gonna be out of practice for about 3 weeks. So it gives me some time to look into some things, start planning some things for next year. So hopefully it's gonna be a busy time. But as always, thank you everybody for watching and for listening, as these last few videos in a row have been some of my better viewed in a long time. I know you guys like these walk and talk videos, so they're going to keep coming. If anything, they're really easy for me to do. And you guys like them, so I appreciate that. So keep it up. The more you do that, the more you support the channel, the more that you like and subscribe and do all the good YouTube stuff, the more I can do it. So as always, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.